Welcome everyone. Today's topic is Honest Blindness by John Milton. Honest Blindness by John Milton. Before we go into the poem, or before we go into any work, be it short story, be it fiction, be it novel, be it drama, the first thing we have to understand is about the author. The reason is because when we get an idea about who the author is, we can clearly understand why the author has written this particular work or what inspired the author to write this work. So, about the author, John Milton. John Milton is considered as one of the most greatest scholar poets of English language or English literature. He is one of the most prominent poet or one of the most important poet in English literature. And Milton, when he was just 20 years old, he wrote his first masterpiece, and it was called The Ode on the Morning of Christ's Nativity. This was his first masterpiece, and he wrote this while he was just 20 years old. Again, his most celebrated work. Milton is basically known for his most celebrated work, and that work is Paradise Lost, which was written in the year 1667. What makes this work an interesting work is that Paradise Lost depicts the story about our forefathers, that is Adam and Eve. It shows us how Adam and Eve lost the paradise of Eden, or how they were expelled from the paradise of Eden. And then we had an important point here. Milton slowly started losing his sight, and at the age of 43, he became completely blind. This is John Milton. The reason I gave this photo is because us literature students, we know the name of a number of authors, but we don't know how they look. So from today onwards, whenever you read something, try to search for the author's image so you can associate the person with such a work. So from today onwards, you should practice this. About the poem, Honest Blindness is an autobiographical poem because he really lost his eyesight at the age of 43. He was completely blind. So as a result, it is based on his own life. That is why it is called autobiographical. Then the next thing is that the poem is also called When I Consider How My Light is Spent. Honest Blindness is also known as When I Considered How My Light is Spent. What's the poem about? The poem basically, the poet says that how he has lost his eyesight. Like in his real life, at the age of 43, he was completely blind. So he lost his eyesight. Now he is troubled. Now he is questioning himself. Why? Because Milton believes that he was robbed of his glory days very quickly. Because he was only 43 and now he has lost eyesight. God gave him, or God bestowed him, a gift of eyesight, and now he has lost it. So he's scared. He's scared. How would God react? What must I do now? How would I use the gift that God gave me, because now I'm blind? The God gave him the gift of writing, to produce something, to inspire the people, to educate the people. But unfortunately, now his eyesight is no more. He is scared. Milton does not know what to do or how to write. Milton is in a complete confusion or complete dilemma. But we can understand that by reading the poem. Milton slowly realizes that through patience, Milton understands that God does not want his work. God does not want to listen to his work. God only wants those who wait patiently. Meaning that if God has given you some burden, if God has given you some little task, if you stay there, if you believe in God, if you believe in God's will, you can attain peace. So this is what Milton wants to point out through this poem. It means that if you are unexpectedly given something trouble or given any burden, what you have to do, you have to accept that burden, because God has a plan for each and every one of us. Accept that burden. Try to live with it. Try to create something out of it, because those who wait, they will be rewarded. So, the poem relates the inner voice of a man who has resigned himself completely to God's will. When Milton became blind, his ability to write was threatened, because at the age of 43 he became blind. So now he's scared because he don't know how he's going to write poems or how he's going to write literature in the future. He feels that he has been robbed of his eyesight too early. He feels God will scold him as he cannot carry out his life's mission, which is to write. He is scared now because God bestowed on him a gift. God gave him a gift of writing. And now, due to the loss of his eyesight, he is scared. He don't know why or he don't know whether he would be able to continue. So as a result, he is scared whether God would punish him. But finally, through patience, Milton understands the true message of God. So now, moving on to the poem on his blindness. Okay, so when I consider how my light is spent, half my days in this dark world and wide, and that one talent which is death to hide, lodged with me useless, through my soul more bent. Okay, so in the first four lines, we can understand that Milton spends his life in darkness. Why? Because now he has lost his ability to see. So the entire world appears to him in darkness. And he doesn't know how to use this talent, the talent that God gave to him. That was to write, to inspire people, to educate people, to give them some message. But now, due to his blindness, he don't know or he doesn't know how to use his talent. So he feels that the talent that was given to God, the talent that was given to him by God is being wasted because now Milton doesn't know how to use this talent due to being blind. To serve there within my Maker and present my true account, lest he returning chide. Doth God exact day labor, light denied? I fondly ask, but patience to prevent. So slowly but surely, Milton starts to question him because Milton, throughout his years, you have to remember, he was just 20 years old when he wrote his first masterpiece. So he was very proud in his writing skills, but unfortunately, something bad happened, and that was he lost his eyesight. So now he is scared. He is questioning whether how would God react? Would God get angry? What am I supposed to do with the gift that God gave me? Those are all the questions that comes to Milton's mind. But this question is answered with what? With patience. I fondly ask, but patience to prevent. That murmur soon replies, God don't not need either man's work or his own gifts. Who best bear his mild yoke, they serve him best. So, he remains calm, he remains patient. He accepts that God has given him, God has put on him a burden. But he remains calm, he remains patient, and finally, there comes a murmur. There comes a murmur. And that murmur is, God doesn't need your gift. God has bestowed upon you something. God doesn't want you give your gift to God because God knows everything. But God respects those people or God cares for those people whom God has given some task, but they are still willing to move on with their life. So he goes on to say that, where his mild yoke, they serve him best. His state is kingly, thousand at his beating speed, and post or land and ocean without rest. They also serve who only stand and wait. So, through patience, Milton understands that God doesn't need his gift because God rules over the entire earth. God has armies. He has a kingly state, means that God is living a great life in heaven. God has everything. He has a number of angels to run around the world and to find informations for God. So, God is a very big, immortal being. God doesn't need Milton's work in order for God to be happy. Milton understands this through his patience, and he finally understands that God accepts people who wait. If God has put on you something, if God has gifted you something, if God has put on if God has put on a burden on you, or things like that, if you wait, He will bless you. If you wait, God will surely bless you. Why? Because God has decided your outcome earlier itself. And now God knows. If you wait, if you accept your mild yoke, that means that small burden put on top of you, if you accept that and if you live on with that life peacefully, then you can attain true peace. So, that is basically on his blindness. Thank you everyone.